Silver47. 47, if you don't know, is the atomic number for silver, so that's where that comes from. Yeah, my mission really is to build the next big silver story, and we're excited to to come out. We're 3.5 months as a public company, traded 19 million shares, and our first 3.5 months debut of a 50 million share outstanding, so pretty good to see. So here's a capital structure. We're currently 50 million shares out. We've been successful in attracting capital to this name, raised around 10 million privately, so we're a private company since 21 and just recently public. You can see the shareholders there between Crescat, Eric Sprott Management, about 40%. We went out to raise $3 million, just kind of not sure where the market was, and we had tremendous demand, and we recently announced an upsize to $8 million. So that's pretty exciting for us. There's the team. It's a small team. I mean, it's a new company, so we're building that. But one smart investor told me what makes a good CEO is someone that can raise capital, and we've been successful in doing that. So we're going to grow our team as we build out, but we're excited to get up there this year and drill. So my strategy for this company is I want to see 1 billion ounces of silver on the books. And I don't care if it's silver equivalent, I don't care if it's zinc, gold, copper, but silver-focused company with a lot of ounces. How do we get there? It's M&A and drilling. I mean, you can drill your way there, but it's going to take a long time to get there. Or you can do drilling and M&A. So that's my mission, is to find some like-minded companies. So if you know any companies got 100 million, 200 million silver equivalent ounces, happy to chat. How do we get there? We know we've got 2 great resources on the Red Mountain project called Dry Creek and West Tundra Flats. We have high confidence that these will grow, and that's going to be our strategy for this year, is to grow those resources. And we've got a ton of exploration targets that we want to drill test for new discoveries, and we really want to fast track that. So we've got a fast track to development opportunity, and we've got big discovery opportunity, and we believe we have the scale, we have the grade, and we've got a great location like Alaska. And we looked at a handful of our peers. There's a dozen of our peers here. You can see the chart. Silver47 is trading around 16 cents of Canadian of ounce in the ground on a silver equivalent basis. You can see the names. Grade-wise, 336 on a gram silver equivalent. Given where silver's at, that's like $1 a gram, so $336 per ton rock. Pretty good value rock. Based on the drilling that we did last year, we think we can improve on that, and that's what we're going to demonstrate that. And my goal is to have another resource out early next year and show that resource growth year over year. So we think we've got big value. If you're looking for a value trade, have a look at Silver47. We're low in the value with big ounces, and we're going to grow. We actually own 3 assets, wholly owned 3 assets. We started in Yukon called Michelle. We made a major silver discovery there in 21 and 22. And have been stuck in the permitting process, so we're kind of waiting for that to get resolved. We did pick up an asset in British Columbia called Adams Plateau. This, to me, looks like a Sullivan. And just a reminder for people, Sullivan was a world-class mine that was a lead-zinc mine that produced 300 million ounces of silver, by the way. So these VMS deposits can be big, and they can have a lot of precious metals. So we're located about 100 kilometers due south of Fairbanks, Alaska. And it's easy to get to. It took me about a 20-minute flight from Fairbanks when I was there last summer. We've got a little bit of infrastructure work to do as we advance to development, but there's a group in a state-managed fund called the Alaska Industrial Development Export Authority, ADA, and they will provide for-profit, low-cost debt for infrastructure. So we kind of have that to look forward to as we advance this thing. But we're on state-managed lands. We've got a 60-kilometer trend. And the state is pro-mining here, quite easy on the permitting process. So we think we have a fast track to a development story here. The geology is ripe for new discoveries. And if you look at these VMS deposits, they're like a string of pearls. They're kind of layer cake geology, and we're seeing that in the resources that we have. So if you look at the trend here, we're on the right rocks. We're on the right trend. On the western side of the project, which has seen much less work than most of the $35 million that have been spent on this has been focused on the eastern side of the project. But the west has this interesting SEDEX affinity, just more sediment hosted. Much like the Sullivan, these things can be quite large. And so we're quite interested to drill some of these new targets this year. One that I'm quite interested in, brand new one, is called Galleon. It had over 1,200 gram silver sample at surface, never been drilled. So we want to hit some of those this year. Here's the resource statement that we put out, 168.8 million ounces silver, equivalent 15.6 million tons. So if you look at the breakdown there, it's 36 million ounces of silver, just over 200,000 ounces of gold. So that's about a 55 million ounces silver equivalent, or 33% of the resource is precious metals. We think we can improve on that. The goal would be to try to get it more to 50% precious metal weighting versus the base metals. But the way to look at these things is the base metals will pay for the mine, and the silver and the gold are the gravy. And I like that idea of putting some silver on the books. I think that's important. There has been some met work done, so we're using pretty conservative numbers, 70 to 90% recoveries for the metals that we're talking about, and we're using relatively conservative prices here. So we did some work on the work that's been done on the two resources, Dry Creek and West Tundra Flats, to come up with a conceptual target. So if I had $10 million, what could I do with that, and what would that give me on a resource expansion? And we came up with 8 to 12 million tons. So I would say that's extremely high discovery rate for new ounces. So if we could add, 50 to 100 million ounces silver equivalent to the books on a aggressive season of drilling, I think that's great. So we're looking forward to seeing what we can do there. The resource zones are wide open. We did a bit of drilling last year and quite successfully. We did some infill on Dry Creek there. You can see in the bottom of that table, hole 106, cut a 24.5 meter wide interval. But what was encouraging about that is that we were in between two holes that had sort of 5 or 6 grams gold, and we actually hit up 15 grams gold in that with 250 gram silver and 22% zinc. So on a silver equivalent, it's given us 2,900 grams per ton silver equivalent at over 2.5 meters. So we get these massive sulfide horizons that are essentially metal, and then within these semi-massive sulfide horizons that have some rock in them. So it's quite encouraging when you see the massive sulfide, because you know you're going to get grade, and it's just metal in the box. So that's pretty encouraging. And then one of the things we did recently, we went through all of our data, and we're looking at the critical mineral part of the story, and we came up with significant amounts of antimony. You can see on the bottom table there, antimony is not included in the silver equivalent value, but it's adding significant amount of value, we think, to the project. As being a critical mineral, antimony is like $25,000 a ton. So while I think the next step would be to do some met work to see what kind of recoveries we could get there. And there's obviously looking at the U.S. critical mineral funds from the DOE and the DOD. There are significant pots of money available, grant money, that we could potentially see access to help a non-dilutive capital to help advance this project through the U.S. government. West Tundra is quite an interesting one because it's a relatively shallow dipping flat zone and it's wide open. One of the holes we did was actually a twin on hole 8 there that was 7.3 meters of 333 grams silver, 619 equivalent. And we ended up with a 22 meter interval from the previous 7.3 meter interval. And that is attributed to the fact that a lot of the 1980s vintage drilling did not get good core recovery. So if you don't have the rock in the box, you don't have a proper record of what it is. And we were able to successfully get high core recovery. So we think just by drilling modern drill techniques, good recovery, we can improve the grade, improve the quality and scale of the resource. So we set an exploration target for ourselves, 50 to 75 million tons. We believe, given the scale of the project and the number of targets that we have, we think that a 50 million ton is a pretty good base case. And I think if we could even get to 30 million tons, we're talking PEA level, get this thing moved along the development curve. And given that we're in the state of Alaska with strong support from the state to build these things, we've got a pretty short timeline to build this story. So in summary, I'd say have a look at Silver47. We've got a strong, high-grade, 168 million ounce silver equivalent resource, and we've got lots of growth potential in front of us, tons of targets, district-scale project with base metal credits, and a near-term development opportunity, and a big vision to get lots of ounces on the books for Silver47. So thank you very much.